So compliance is one, a psychological concept that is used to explain behavior, and two, oftentimes used as a marketing strategy, or in the real world, it has a lot of application properties. So we're kind of just going to be talking about compliance. So compliance is the change in behavior of an individual from a direct request, whether that be implicit or explicit. So we're going to start off with talking about self-perception theory. Self-perception theory is really just attitude formation and how we see ourselves. So how this ties into compliance is if someone asks us to do a favor for them and we do it, we're starting to build up a perception of ourselves as a nice, friendly, approachable person. Therefore, when that person asks us to do something again, we want to keep and maintain this image that we've created for ourselves so we continue doing it. Because to harm that image and say that you're not going to help them and ruin that image you've created for yourself creates a sense of cognitive dissonance in your head. You've formed this image that you are a nice, friendly, approachable person, so now you don't want to go and ruin it and go against your beliefs that you are, in fact, a nice and friendly person. So you want to maintain that image and keep going. And that's what we call gradual escalation, which is also a strategy that we'll introduce later on in how we can keep encouraging a person to do certain things. So there are 6 main principles of influence. The first one is liking, how much we like the person that is asking us to do this request. And that's human nature, of course. We do things sometimes purely as a favor because of how much we like a person. Whether they're a likable person matters a lot to us because humans value subjective nature. The second one is authority. Maybe this person or this group is in a higher authoritative stance to you, and you may even be like a little scared of them, or you just feel a bit pressurized, and that's one of the principles. The third one is scarcity, and it's a principle of influence because it ties very directly into why we buy things just because other people's buying them. It's because we're scared that we're not going to have something that is in popular demand. The fourth one is consistency and commitment, which basically means if someone continues to do something for us or we continue to do it, you're going to be more likely to continue doing it just because you've already committed to it. You've stuck your ground and now you need to keep going to justify that it was the right decision. The fifth one is reciprocity. And it just means you're more likely to do something for someone if they do something back for you. And the sixth one is social proof. We want to prove to those around us that we are likable and desirable. So let's look at the compliance techniques and kind of how they're used in the daily world in terms of commercialization. So the first one we have is foot in the door. And foot in the door is the one I was talking about earlier, gradual escalation. It's how we start from a small request and keep people interested to keep on building up to a bigger request and continue. And this links really closely to the principle of influence of consistency, because they've already done it, so they're gonna keep on doing it, and you've built you've built a relationship with the person that you want to comply with you, because you've started out with a small request. The other one, which is the exact opposite, is door in the face, where you start with a really big request that is actually not what your target goal was, but you're putting it out there to make your first request seem outrageous. Then you slowly lower it down until the other person goes, oh yeah, like that seems reasonable, but only because your first demands were super high. And this kind of also ties into anchoring bias, because you've made them have a really high request set in their head, but it also links to the principle of influence of reciprocity, yes, because now they're intrigued to see what you can offer them and you keep on going. Yeah, and then the last one we have is the deadline technique. It's very much used in a setting where it's like, oh, there's a discount for this object or this item, but it's running out very soon. You need to buy before the end of the day. We see this often on online shopping platforms, and they pull you in with these crazy deals, and you feel like if you don't get it right now, that's it. You're never gonna have it again, and that ties into the principle of scarcity because we want things. Yeah. And Another really big part of compliance is what makes cults so powerful. And the example I'll be using is Jonestown. So, Jonestown started out as kind of a religious type esque movement where they promised the idea of a perfect world where everyone lived in harmony and there was no different social classes or racial discrimination. And this kind of behavior was definitely, part of it was definitely love bombing, but also because they were under the impression, the individuals were under the impression that they were going to a church, there was an element of authority, and they've now committed, so there was the principle of consistency as well, and they genuinely liked the leader at first, so the principle of liking, and that's how those movements start to get you involved, because they start out with little things, right? Can you pass a flyer around? Can you go and promote our values? And then you get into the dangerous things that really make cults really scary to get out of, because once you're in there, you don't know how deep it can get. So they often use techniques like foot in a door to kind of keep you in there and make you seem like it's a reasonable demand to make, which is why a lot of the times after people have stepped out of a cult, they suddenly realize that they've done a lot of things that they weren't initially starting out with. So for cults, compliance is really quite a big thing in getting large groups of people to follow your ideals and beliefs.